Please stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Stay standing, please. We're going to stay for a moment of silence for Frank, who passed away this morning. Who served the city for 30 years, so we just have a moment of silence in honor of him. Thank you all. May be seated. Have a roll call.
Mayor Hassler.
Here.
Alderman Grimminger.
Here.
Alderman Mooney.
Here.
Alderman Donovan.
Here.
Alderman Jokers.
Here.
Alderman Cook. Alderman Stupi.
Here.
Alderman Prince.
Here.
Alderman Rozika.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Like your approval of the agenda.
You approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Thank you. Takes us down to the city administrator's report.
Okay. Alderman Prince approached me several weeks ago about a citizen request to look at the possibility of putting a light the entrance to Valley Springs subdivision. When you go in Valley Spring Drive and you kind of start going down a hill and it makes a bend, there's a light on the left back by the industrial building, and there's not another light till you make it around the bend into the subdivision where there's one of those decorative lights. So that created a rather large dark spot. I talked to the adjacent property owners. I talked to TRE, which is the Troutman Management Company, whose property the pole would be in front of. I talked to the, I say manager, but the chairman of the subdivision committee, and everybody was supportive of it. They definitely wanted it on the side of the tree of the street, away from the subdivision, which was kind of treed, so citizens was interested in putting it on the other side, but they agreed to put it on there. So citizens will be putting a pole at no expense to the city, except we'll have to pay the utilities when it comes in, but it certainly seemed like a reasonable request. The tax bills went out, as most of you probably know. The people who lease the city's property for farming received a tax bill this year. It's kind of like the thing with the PIVA building, where in this case, it wasn't off the tax rolls like the PIVA building, and she was taxing kind of the sweetheart nature of the lease. The assessor has determined, and I'm sure she's right, that, and the city attorney has looked at it, that she can tax the value of the lease. So it isn't a lot of money, but it was just an aggravation to the tenants who came to me and said, I've never paid this before. I'm not leasing this property to pay taxes, but indeed it's their tax bill and they'll get it every year and you'll have to pay it. It's hard to explain. You know, they're not taxing the real estate, they're taxing the lease, and you hold the lease.
You talking about the per acre cost of the lease, and then whatever that total is?
She does it on the basis of acreage.
Yeah, right.
Standard formula that they apply, it has a factor for soil type built into it, so they can anticipate the productivity of the acreage, and then that's the basis for the tax figure. So all acres are not created equal.
Right. Talking about what's the total amount of acreage that we have that's,
Oh, gee, I don't know. 100, 200, several hundred acres. Okay. But, it's all that. Marion Kurtz has all the Kurtz farms, all the property around the levee. I mean, so that's a lot of property.
we don't have that much out here anymore on Progress Park. Do we even have any?
No, you have the same amount you always had.
There ain't much.
Well, I mean, obviously the nursing home took out acreage and the apartments took out acreage, so it's kind of what's left. You're aware, because we've discussed it before, that when there's a sewer backup, unless the city has been negligent in the maintenance of the sewer line, we are generally exempt from liability, immune from liability for those occurrences. A couple of years ago, that happened on Riverview, and the property owner complained. We investigated. Steve and the crew found trees in the line, and we augured them out, and they now regularly monitor that. There was a pipe separation, but not a complete break. It was just an offset. So it continues to function without any spillage or anything. So they camera it and make sure it stays free. Apparently, that solution wasn't satisfactory to the property owner. He hired a lawyer. They're now suing us for unspecified damages. The insurance company is defending that suit, and it'll come to whatever it comes to. But I thought you should know. I attended the Community Services Forum meeting, and I still, as you know, have trouble figuring out exactly what that is. But I know that they receive some money from Wholesome, and they make distributions to community service organizations. Like, there's a young mothers group that gets money, and there's all these groups. The notable thing that happened there that I'd like to announce, not so much for your information, but one of the things that group has done, and one of the, I think, really notable things that they have done, is organized and continued to implement the drug take-back program. And it's just amazing to me how many drugs get turned in every month. They arrange for the drug take-back box at the sheriff's office. So if anybody has prescription drugs that they want to dispose of, do not flush them down the commode. You can take them to the sheriff's office and deposit them, and they'll incinerate them. And then they organize weekend meetings, or weekend take-backs around the county. So sometimes they'll be at Klein Pharmacy, and other times they'll be in Bloomshill, and other times they'll be in St. Mary's. And it just, again, I'm just amazed how many prescription drugs get turned in. The next drug take-back event will be in Bloomsdale on February the 24th during the hospital's Women's Health Festival, whatever they call it. And so I'm just kind of announcing that so those who are watching can be aware of it. February 24th, Bloomsdale Health Center. And if any of you have drugs you need to get rid of, you can go there. Or save yourself a trip, go to the sheriff's office. Finally, every year, the company that monitors and maintains our code book, and Code 1, what's their name? It used to be Sullivan. They review the legislative acts of the state of Missouri and report what activity has occurred that would cause us to look at and maybe change our code. I sent that on to Mark. He's reviewed it. I didn't see anything that would cause a code change. But there were a couple of noteworthy things there. One was an amendment to the Tourism Commission member requirements. I don't think that added any clarity to who qualifies as a member. I think the only thing they added was a provision for the county, not necessarily St. Genevieve County, but if a county sets up a tourism tax and appoints a tourism commission, then it says all the members must come from the county. It had always said for the city that they had to come from the city or the county, although our local bylaws required them to be city residents, which we changed several years ago. So that didn't mean anything. The other thing was it set a cap on the combined sales taxes that a city can collect from whatever sort, general sales taxes and special sales taxes, and it's at 2%, which is where we are. So we're maxed out on sales tax. Any questions? Thank you.
Mr. Gary?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Did you see my report? It's kind of short. We did a lot of things that took a lot of time. We did get the brush site, or the trees over around the brush site all brush hogged, and it looks a whole lot better now. We got all the picnic tables in the park redone and ready for spring. We installed a spreader, wiring, and controls on another pickup. A couple years ago in the budget, there was material bought out of the park budget to build some more covered picnic table, pavilion type things, one for Main Street bathrooms, and 3 more over at what is now Pinkley Park. We got the roofs for them all built, and we got the poles set on the one on Main Street, so it's just a matter of putting them together now. We got some hand-me-down radios from the police department, so we installed them in a couple of pickups and a couple dump trucks. Got all our small engines stored away for winter. Stop sign at Cedar Lane and the alleyway there got run over. Just maintenance work on the Island of Flags. Took down Christmas decorations today. All the lighted ones come down. The banners are still up. Citizens are going to come back and finish those. And we did some sweeping on the Front Street area when they did the hauling of the sludge from the sewer treatment plant. Yeah. Today there was an issue with a storm drain at the PIVA building, and we got that taken care of today. And we're ready.
Replacement signs for snow routes.
Yes, they're not up yet. They just came in, but we're going to add a few more in places that didn't have them, and some you can't read anymore. So.
Are these gonna pop out there where people are gonna see them? The old ones, they probably don't even pay attention.
Yeah, these got a little color to them, some blue.
The code calls for somebody, but since we don't have one of the people in the position that the code calls for, it falls to me to declare an emergency, and then we would communicate that through social media, texting, the radio station, to get the word out. But generally speaking, if we have, or it's predicted to have 3 inches of snow, people should be cognizant of whether they live on a snow route and not park your vehicle on the street in those conditions. It's kind of hard to remove. 2 inches is kind of hard for us to remove, but anything over 2, it starts to be something we need to get on.
Is there, on these poles, is that a brace or whatever that stays on that pole for the decorations, and you just hang it?
Yeah, just a clip, more or less, yeah.
Yeah, but it stays on that pole, just pop off, like snowflakes or whatever you got. Now, when they do these new poles, do they put them back on for you?
No. There's an issue with the Christmas decorations. It's going to have to be something done by next year. So any of the poles they're replacing with them on it, they're taking them off and giving it back to me. rather than putting them up and then us have to take them back down. So,
I was just curious, I thought
Yeah.
that was something that stayed on there, you just added the
right.
fixture or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing quite a few in the city
Right.
limits. Yeah. Anyway, thank you.
Anything else?
And for those who may have known that 4th Street was scheduled to be blocked yesterday and today, and they didn't because of the work today because of the pending inclement weather, and they're scheduled to go back to work Monday to finish up the work on 4th Street, so we'll have a road blockage again on 4th Street.
With no school on Monday, so.
That's a good thing, man. Very good thing.
That it?
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.
Hi. So you have my report, and it's pretty straightforward as far as the reporting. The only couple of things that I wanted to point out, which you have attached in your packet, is we did receive notice from FEMA that they're starting the 90-day appeal process for the new flood maps to become effective. The 90-day period will start after the second posting of the public notice, which will be on January 17th. That 90-day period will allow for people, if they have technical data that they feel that would take them, change whatever FEMA says as far as their floodplain situation, they can submit that data. Then there's requirements, that go along with that. So that starts after the 17th. It'll go for 90 days. Then
Can I stop you there?
yes.
We tend to think, because we have most of our floodplain is a built-out environment, that the flood mapping really isn't a great consequence to us, except for the flood insurance issue that we've talked about, where people have to get flood insurance that may have to if their mortgage companies require it. We had a situation this week that kind of, I think, illustrates the importance of it. We had a citizen question, if I have a house that's in the flood hazard area, if I demolish it, can I rebuild on that site? And the answer is a qualified yes. But the purpose of the flood damage prevention ordinance is to keep people from investing in flood-prone areas and creating a later demand for damages for FEMA. And that's why you did the flood buyout program years ago. It further requires the city to mitigate any future damages through our building permit process. And so the answer to that person's question is generally no, but if you can get permission from the Corps of Engineers and the Department of Natural Resources to raise the site, you could possibly build there. Or you could build a structure that's flood-proofed, and you see it in coastal areas all the time, where the house actually sits on piers. So the first sill, the lowest floor elevation, is above the base flood elevation.
Right.
So these flood maps do have an impact and can have an impact on what happens in our community.
Right. Then the only other thing is we had our audit. Every 4 years we have to go through an audit for certified local government status. And we had received our letter in December stating that we are still maintaining the requirements that the Department of Natural Resources requires for us to be able to maintain certified local government status, which allows for funding, technical assistance, things like that.
Well,
Yes.
so the areas, they did go ahead and include the areas down on
3rd Street.
Washington.
Yes,
That did get included now in the new map.
yes.
Anywhere else that changed?
Not,
Well,
there were some,
shrinking, I mean.
there's some areas that shrank back
So they did
because of the new technology. Whenever they did all of the mapping, it was more detailed, and so it allowed for some areas shrank back. Some areas did get larger, but not larger to the point where it was encompassing a whole nother area, except for the 3rd
There are a
Street,
few
Washington.
structures that are now considered to be in the flood hazard zone that
Correct.
weren't before.
Right, like 3rd Street, Washington area, things like that. Those were not prior to, but they will be in the new maps.
They just do us, or do they do everybody?
No,
They,
it's,
they did, all of the whole,
yeah.
Like-
It's a nationwide project.
yeah, I mean.
Are those online?
It's just our time.
The preliminary maps are online. We also have them, and actually in your packet, in the letter, they have a website listed in the letter that shows you what the preliminary maps will be.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Kenny couldn't be here tonight, he had to work, so you have his report in your packet. Martin will answer any questions you
Yeah,
have.
right.
Yeah.
Well,
There are no questions, we'll go forward. Any committee reports? I don't see anybody here for public comments. So, let's move on to the consent agenda. We'll review all that, please.
Move to approve.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Takes us to old business. Next to bill number 4203, an ordinance of the city of St. Genevieve authorizing a contract with Moore Fence for the installation of a fence at 3rd Street, at the street shed location at 590 Market Street in the amount not to exceed $8,150. This is the second reading.
Motion to approve. Second.
Like to have a roll call?
Oh, sorry.
Alderman Grimminger?
Yes.
Alderman Mooney?
Yes.
Alderman Donovan?
Yes.
Alderman Jokers?
Yes.
Alderman Stupi?
Yes.
Alderman Prince?
Yes.
Alderman Rozika?
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no's, 1 absent. Bill number 4203 now becomes ordinance 4135.
Thank you. Bill number 4204, an ordinance approving a budget amendment to the City of St. Genevieve fiscal year 2018 budget relating to the water fund, number 030.
Move approval. Second.
Like to have a roll call?
Alderman Rozika?
Yes.
Alderman Prince?
Yes.
Alderman Stupi?
Yes.
Alderman Jokers?
Yes.
Alderman Donovan?
Yes.
Alderman Mooney?
Yes.
Alderman Grimminger?
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no's, 1 absent. Bill number 4204 now becomes ordinance 4135.
Thank you. Bill number 4205, an ordinance amending the City of St. Genevieve Code of Ordinance, Chapter 500, Buildings and Building Regulations, Article in General, Section 500.010, demolition of buildings, permit required, and Section 500.020, demolition of buildings, issuance, denial.
Motion to approve. Second.
Like to have a roll call?
Alderman Jokers?
Yes.
Alderman Donovan?
Yes.
Alderman Mooney?
Yes.
Alderman Grimminger?
Yes.
Alderman Rozika?
Yes.
Alderman Prince?
Yes.
Alderman Stupi?
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no's, 1 absent. Bill number 4205 now becomes ordinance 4137.
Thank you. New business, Bill number 4206, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Forces Program and the St. Genevieve Police Department in the amount not to exceed $5,000.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any other business? A little bit of communication with you all before we adjourn for the night. The next meeting, we will have a work session. We'll start at 5 o'clock, and I expect probably our meeting might not be too lengthy. We might pick it up after the meeting, so a lot of things on the plate, a lot of things to take care of. We'll have it all out on the agenda and have all the information you'll need. And John, I know you won't be here, but we'll make sure you have everything. So just wanted to let everybody know that. I felt getting back on track. I just want to get back on track tonight, and get back into the meeting mode, and we'll move forward and look forward to the new year.
Sounds good. Move adjourned.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.